Imagine packing up your life, driving across Europe, and discovering the person you love is drowning. And so are you. In this book review of Coming Clean, Liz Fraser shares the moments of addiction, heartbreak, and rebuilding what remains. Welcome to That's Life, I swear. This podcast is about life's happenings in this world that conjure up such words as intriguing, frightening, life-changing, inspiring, and more. I'm Rick Barron, your host. That said, here's the rest of this story. So let's get into the abstract of the book. Coming Clean, a true story of love, addiction, and recovery, is Liz Fraser's candid and deeply personal true story about loving someone struggling with alcoholism and finding her way through heartbreaks, danger, and ultimately, recovery. The book opens with Fraser's recognition of her own central truth. My name is Liz, and I am the partner of an alcoholic. Fraser and her partner Mike had romantic dreams. They traveled across Europe in a van, ultimately settling in Venice with their baby daughter, leaving behind what they deemed unnecessary in pursuit of a simpler, more meaningful life. But beneath the romantic idealism, Mike's mental health and alcohol use was deteriorating. By the summer of 2019, his depression deepened into self-destruction, and his drinking just spiraled out of control. Fraser describes being left alone in a foreign country, renovating a house, raising their child, shouldering enormous financial burdens, and facing relentless emotional chaos. As Mike's alcoholism escalates, Fraser is caught in a tormenting loop. Love and denial, hope and despair, loyalty and self-preservation. Her writing does not shy away from the acts of deception, verbal abuse, and gaslighting she endures. But as Mike inches toward recovery, she also confronts her own trauma, isolation, and sense of responsibility. The book shifts between diary-like entries, travel reflections, and therapy-style insight. It charts Fraser's psychological journey from shock and exhaustion to the heartbreak of watching someone she loves unravel, to finally finding a community, speaking out, and rebuilding. Coming Clean serves as both a testament to the devastation of addiction and a beacon of hope. Liz emphasizes one does not have to walk such a journey in silence. So let's talk about the author. Liz Fraser is a well-known United Kingdom-based writer and broadcaster whose work spans magazines, radio, TV, and books. She has written for major publications like The Sunday Times, The Guardian, The Telegraph, and Runner's World. She holds a degree in experimental psychology from Cambridge University and brings both a sharp and analytical mind and emotional honesty to her writing. Liz is a mother of 4 children and has long spoken publicly about mental health and family life. Over her career, she's written multiple essays and narrative nonfiction books. Coming Clean stands out as one of her most raw and personal works. She also hosts a podcast called What Doesn't Kill You, which focuses on resilience and trauma recovery. Through her work, Liz has become a very powerful voice for people dealing with complex relationships, mental illness, and substance abuse, not just for those suffering, but for their partners and loved ones. Now, what drew my interest to the book? Well, the cover was quite interesting, but you'll have to buy the book to see what I mean. But several things come to mind as to my draw to this book. First, I was struck by the unusual vantage point. The story isn't just about someone addicted to alcohol, but about their partner. There is surprisingly little popular writing about what it's like to love someone with an addiction, especially to the depth Liz describes. Her position as a writer and broadcaster, someone who thinks deeply about family and relationships, made me curious to see how she would unpack that experience. Reviewers also highlight how rare it is to read about the partner's emotional journey. Second, the geographic and emotional scope hooked me. Liz and her partner moved to Venice with their baby, renovate a house, and try to start fresh. But the romantic backdrop contrasts sharply with the grinding reality of addiction. That comparison felt like powerful narrative terrain. Third, I was interested in her honesty and vulnerability. From interviews, she said she wanted to give a voice to others in her situation, to break the silence around being the other person in addiction. I was drawn to reading something that doesn't shy away from self-criticism, shame, and fear. Liz weaves a good story. She doesn't hold her punches, and she is honest as hell. Finally, from a podcast perspective, this book offers rich material to explore themes of love, mental health, trauma, and recovery. These are deeply human issues that many people experience but few publicly discuss with such clarity. Liz's story seemed like an opportunity not just to recount a challenging experience, but to reflect on what it means to survive, heal, and rebuild. Now, what can we learn from this book? What's the takeaway? Well, I have 6, fairly concise, but I'm going to go through these, so bear with me. Coming Clean offers several profound lessons, both for those who have been directly affected by addiction and for anyone interested in resilience, compassion, and recovery. Number 1, addiction affects everyone. Liz's view makes it painfully clear that addiction doesn't just impact the person drinking. It seeps into every corner of their partner's lives, emotionally, financially, and psychologically. Her experience shows how love can coexist with chaos, and how people close to someone with addiction often suffer in silence. Through her story, readers understand that supporting recovery is not passive. It usually demands immense strength and boundaries. Number 2, denial and hope are complicated. I like this one. One of the most difficult insights Liz shares is how she stayed despite the pain. She describes believing in change repeatedly. She illustrates how hope and denial can be entangled, especially in loving relationships. The takeaway is not to shame those who stay, but to recognize the emotional difficulty of knowing when to hold on and when to let go. Number 3, speaking up is healing. Liz found solace and power in connecting with others who had lived similar experiences. Her decision to write the book came from wanting to break her silence and help others who feel alone. The act of naming the pain, telling the story, and being heard becomes part of her recovery. Sometimes revealing even the most brutal truths is the first step in healing. Number 4, recovery is not neat. The book does not present sobriety as an instant fix. Even when Mike begins recovery, Liz's journey continues, dealing with loss, damage, and shifting identity. She acknowledges that recovery is messy, very unpredictable, and not a single moment, but a process. This reminds us that healing for both the person in recovery and their loved ones comes in phases. Number 5, self-care matters. Through the psychological and emotional tolls, Liz illustrates why taking care of herself was essential. She had to rebuild boundaries, seek support, and find strength in her own voice. One of her central messages: you can't save someone else if you're losing yourself. Think about that one. Learning to prioritize her mental health ultimately becomes part of her recovery. And number 6, community and compassion. Above all, Coming Clean is a testament to empathy. Liz doesn't demoralize her partner. She writes about him with compassion, even when he's at his worst. She also shows how people who live close to addiction need understanding and community. For her, recovery is not just about stopping drinking, but about rebuilding trust and making space for honest conversations. In closing, Coming Clean is a powerful reminder that recovery is relational. It's not just about the person with the substance use issue, but about everyone whose life becomes entangled with it. Liz's bravery in sharing her story brings visibility to a hidden struggle, and her message is both sobering and hopeful. And she says, You are not alone. Healing takes time, and your voice matters. Well, there you go, my friends. That's life, I swear. For further information regarding the material covered in this episode, I invite you to visit my website, which can be found on Apple Podcasts for show notes and the episode transcript. As always, I thank you for the privilege of you listening and your interest. Be sure to subscribe here or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss an episode. And we'll see you soon.